From that same generation emerges the man who carries the Colon surname to Puerto Rico, Juan Colon. This page from the Historia de Cuamo, La Villa Añeja by Ramon Rivera Bermudez gives us our first clear mention of Juan Colon in Puerto Rico. In a roster of the 21 principal colonizers who testified in the 1616 Cuamo Provenza, Juan Colon appears alongside the town's leading figures, alcaldes, regidores, escribanos, and early vecinos. His inclusion signals status and proximity to the parish center of San Blas, placing him among the core founders shaping Cuamo's civic life. So now we have him on the island, named among the town's notable citizens. Next, we'll follow the very next appearances of Juan Colon in Puerto Rican records and map the people in his orbit, the officials he worked with, the neighbors who witnessed his transactions, and the family network that begins to surface around his name. November 9th, 1623, San Juan Cabildo compiles a who gave what list to found a new convent, and there, among the principal vecinos, appears a name we've been tracking, Juan Colon. What makes this page so valuable is the company he keeps. On the same roster stand several people tied to him by blood and marriage, clustered together like a web you can see with the naked eye. Diego Benitez de Luyendo, his wife's nephew. Tomás Martín, his wife's brother-in-law. Benito López de Castillo, his own son-in-law. And Ana de Orozco stands on the list, Juan Colon's sister-in-law, another stitch binding the household together. All four, the names I've marked blue in my notes, anchor Juan inside the Luando Manuel kin network. Interlaced with them, the names I've marked pink in my notes are the Mojica, Negrete, Ponce de Leon connections that orbit the descendants of Cristobal de Mojica and Violante Ferrer. Angel Mojica, grandfather-in-law of Violante Mojica. Capitan Francisco Negrete, Violante Mojica's maternal grandfather. Juana Ponce de Leon, mother-in-law of Cristobal de Mojica. Their proximity on a single civic subscription isn't accidental. It's a tight neighborhood of kin who transacted, witnessed, and married within the same circle. Taken together, this 1623 Cabildo list and the corroborating entries of Juan Colon operating in two overlapping family constellations, his Luando Manuel in-laws and the Mojica Negrete Ponce de Leon alliance, are exactly the social fabric we'd expect around a principal vecino. Next, I'll prove who his wife was. Lenora I Manuel de Luyendo, daughter of Juancho de Luyendo and Lenora Manuel, and then lay out the evidence for Juan Colon and Lenora's three children, the branch that carried the Colon surname forward in Puerto Rico. February 10, 1675, a petition of méritos is filed in San Juan by Tomás Martín de Luyendo, son of the aforementioned Tomás Martín and Lenora de Valera. In it, Tomás states plainly that his ancestors were conquerors of the island of Puerto Rico, and the names inside claim map a tight, traceable lineage. Here's the chain. Lenora de Valera, Tomás's mother, is the daughter of Juancho de Luyendo and Lenora de Manuel. Her given name, Lenora de Valera, honors her great-grandmother of the same name, the woman who married conquistador Diego Ramos in the earliest generation of settlement. From Diego Ramos and Lenora de Valera, the elder, came Maria de Orozco. Maria de Orozco married Francisco Juancho de Luyendo, a Basque hidalgo, and himself counted among the island's early conquerors. Francisco Juancho de Luyendo and Maria de Orozco are the parents of Juancho de Luyendo, which makes them the paternal grandparents of two key sisters in my reconstruction. Lenora de Valera, wife of Tomás Martín and mother of the petitioner, Tomás Martín de Luyendo, and Lenora I Manuel de Luyendo, wife of Juan Colon. This single méritos file does some heavy genealogical lifting. It ties the Luyendo Orozco Ramos line to the status of conquistadors, and it sits Juan Colon's marriage right inside the elite kin network. In other words, the Colon household in San Juan isn't floating alone. It's welded, to the same founding families Tomás cites to justify honor and office. Hold that structure in your head, because now we move from the mother's generation to the daughter who carries the family forward in Puerto Rico, Lenora II Manuel de Luyendo, daughter of Juan Colon and Lenora I Manuel de Luyendo. I'm showing a governor's letter from 1660 that anchors one of the key bridges between the Cologne line and the several Puerto Rican families of office and status. In this folio, Lenora II Manuel de Luyendo appears explicitly as a widow of Licenciado Benito López de Castillo, the title Licenciado marking him as a university-trained jurist. The same passage then names their three daughters, and it spells them out one by one: Doña Catalina, Doña Mariana, and Doña Isabel. For our purpose, that single sentence does three things. First, it confirms Lenora II's marital identity, the widow of Benito López de Castillo. Second, it fixes her household legitimate issue. Three daughters named Catalina, Mariana, and Isabel. Third, it keeps Lenora II squarely inside the Luyendo Colón network we've been tracing, from Juan Colon to Lenora I Manuel de Luyendo, into San Juan's orbit of legal officers, regidors, and conquistador descendants. Hold those names in mind, because the story now narrows to the eldest daughter, whose trail will matter most for the link in our chain, Doña Catalina López. San Juan, June 6, 1689. A marriage that locks the Luyendo Colón puzzle right into place. This is the marriage record of my ninth great-grandparents, Josef Martín de Cabrera, legitimate son of Pedro Martín de Cabrera and Maria de Barbosa, marrying Ana Tomasa de Santana, legitimate daughter of Juan Díaz Fibos and Catalina López. The clerk notes a consanguinity of the tercero con cuatro grado, a third with the fourth degree, and then grants the dispensation. That single line is gold for a genealogist, and here's what it proves. Ana Tomasa's maternal line runs Ana Tomasa, Catalina López, Lenora II Manuel de Luyendo, Lenora I Manuel de Luyendo. Lenora I is the woman I've identified as the wife of Juan Colon. Josef's line runs Josef, Pedro Martín de Cabrera, Lenora de Valera, the same parental couple as Lenora I Manuel de Luyendo. The record's third with the fourth degree of dispensation only happens if the couple descends from the same great-grandparent on one side and the second great-grandparent on the other. The chart fits perfectly. Their common ancestors are Juancho de Luyendo and Lenora de Manuel. Josef is their great-grandson, third degree. Ana Tomasa is their second great-granddaughter, fourth degree. Therefore, the dispensation confirms two sibling relationships essential to this reconstruction. Lenora de Valera, wife of Tomás Martín, and Lenora I Manuel de Luyendo, wife of Juan Colon, are sisters, both daughters of Juancho de Luyendo and Lenora de Manuel. It also secures Juan Colon's marriage beyond doubt. His wife is Lenora I Manuel de Luyendo, and through their daughter, Lenora II, we see the line flowing to Catalina López and Ana Tomasa. In short, the church's own consanguinity math stitches the Luyendo sisters together and, with them, ties Juan Colon directly into this elite kin network in San Juan. Hold that structure in your mind. The Luyendo sisters in one branch, Juan Colon on the other, because it frames the next step of our tree. Next, we turn to another child of Juan Colon and Lenora I Manuel de Luyendo, Diego Ramos Colon. For clarity in the records, there are three distinct men named Diego Ramos Colon. Diego I, born around 1600, married a woman of the Torres family. His descendants used the compound surname Colon de Torres. Diego II, born around 1632, was the legitimate son of Captain Juan Colon de Luyendo and Doña Catalina de Espinosa, and he was the husband of Doña Juana Díaz de Sandoval, who we'll get to know later. And Diego III Ramos Colon died on May 4th, 1732 in Arecibo, He was the husband of Maria de Los Angeles. His descendants populated the Arecibo area. They are not direct father-son of one another, lived in different generations, and must not be confused. This is the July 27, 1693 Méritos of Juan Colon de Torres. The parchment opens like a drum roll. Juan Colon de Torres stands before the authorities to recount service and lineage. He is married and the father of many children, a household anchored in San Germán and forged in war. He names his father first, Luis Colon de Torres, Capitán a Guerra and Regidor of San Germán. Then, his maternal grandparents, Diego Ortiz de la Peña and Mencia Lopez. He ties in his blood family to the Luyendo network, Tomás Martín de Luyendo, Esteban Cordero de Luyendo, and the soldier we'll meet soon, Capitán Antonio Colón de Luyendo. And he seals the core identity with one more name. His paternal grandfather was Diego I Ramos Colón. All of this is stated plainly in his Méritos, a legal sworn statement of services and kin. Then, the action. Juan recounts the family's long record of arms. As a younger man, he rode behind his father Luis in the island's militia. The family tradition reached back to Diego I Ramos Colón, a veteran of the 1625 defense of San Juan against Hendrik's Dutch fleet and later expeditions to St. Croix and the Barlovento Islands in the 1640s. The Colón de Torres name is already braided in Puerto Rico's frontier posts and coastal alarms. He dwells on 1673 when the French privateer governor de Ogeron tries Puerto Rico's defenses. San Germán and the southwest braced for landings. Militia columns shadowed the invaders, skirmishes burned across beaches and mangroves. In the fighting, Juan's own brother, Diego Colón de Torres, took a musket shot and died, a stark family proof of service and loss. Juan testifies to his part in these operations and to the duty rosters he kept thereafter. The Méritos do two things at once. They prove kinship, pinning Juan to Luis Colón de Torres, to grandparents Ortiz de la Peña, Lopez, to the Luyendo cousins, and to Diego Ramos Colón, and they prove service, from garrison watches to open field pursuits against French landings. In a single document, we see the family as the sources saw it: legitimate line, public offices, and militia command, all bound together in the Colón Luyendo Ortiz de la Peña web. For our genealogy, the takeaways are crisp. Juan Colón de Torres is the son of Luis Colón de Torres, by his own sworn statement. His maternal grandparents, Diego Ortiz de la Peña and Mencia Lopez, and his paternal grandfather, Diego I Ramos Colón. His allied kin, Tomás Martín de Luyendo, Esteban Cordero de Luyendo, Capitán Antonio Colón de Luyendo, evidence of a tight kin network in San Germán and San Juan. Status: married with muchos hijos, and a proven militia record, included the 1673 campaign in which his brother Diego fell. Next, we stay in the same branch and the same web of surnames. We turn to Juan Colón de Luyendo, the other son of Juan Colón el Viejo and Lenora I Manuel de Luyendo, to see how the Colón name and the Luyendo kin strategy continue shaping marriages, offices, and heirs in Puerto Rico. Captain Juan Colón de Luyendo steps into the record around the 1620s as a vecino of Cuamo and later resident of San Juan, identified in notarial entries as hijo de Juan Colón el Viejo. He marries into learning and status. Doña Catalina de Espinosa, legitimate daughter of Licenciado Antonio de Santa Clara and Doña Lenora de Espinosa. The family appears with property and literacy. Juan signs his name, manages enslaved labor, and moves into the same circle as his father's Luyendo kin. From this marriage, we can document two sons, both captains and carrying compound surnames that binds Colón and Luyendo houses. Diego II Ramos Colón and Antonio Colón de Luyendo, although there may be more children from this marriage. The key proof for Diego II comes straight from the Limpieza de Sangre dossier. It names Capitan Don Diego Ramos Colon and states plainly that he is the legitimate son of Capitan Juan Colon de Luyendo and Doña Catalina de Espinosa. That one sentence locks parentage, status, and legitimacy. Exactly what we need to keep the Mayorazgo adjacent kin network straight. Context from parallel entries rounds out to the household profile. Juan Colon de Luyendo is counted as about 30 years old in the early 17th century declaration, able to sign, and by the 1640s, he appears as a legal witness in San Juan. Now, let's follow the proof where it points. The Limpieza de Sangre for Doña Violante Correa states it as clear as day. Capitan Don Diego Ramos Colon y Doña Juana Díaz de Sandoval, y el dicho Capitán Don Diego Ramos Colon es hijo legítimo de Capitán Juan Colón de Luyendo y Doña Catalina de Espinosa. That is our bridge. Next, we move with Diego II Ramos Colon into his marriage with Doña Juana Díaz de Sandoval to place his descendants in the time frame. On the screen, you are seeing the árbol genealógico de los señores Rodríguez, Correas, y Matos, and I've marked the branches we need. This chart helps anchor one crucial line that comes out of Cuamo and runs right into the legacy of Christopher Columbus's family in Puerto Rico. Let's see the parents first. Capitan Diego II Ramos Colon, born about 1632, appears in records as a vecino of San Juan and resident of Cuamo. In 1662, he testifies in San Germán during an inquiry into a clandestine coastal trade. By 1671, he is teniente of the Valley of San Blas de Cuamo, reporting a suspicious launch with 4 Frenchmen and 1 sailor. The career is steady, local, and military, exactly what we'd expect from a Ramos Colon serving the frontier towns. He marries Doña Juana Díaz de Sandoval. From this union, I can document at least 2 daughters and likely more. Daughter 1, Doña Maria Colon. She marries Nicolás Rodríguez de Matos. Their daughter, Estefania Colón de Matos, is the hinge that binds our Colón bloodline to one of Puerto Rico's most storied soldiers. Estefania marries Antonio Rodríguez Correa, better known across the island as Antonio de los Reyes Correa or simply as Capitan Correa. Daughter 2, Doña Mencia Ramos, also a child of Capitan Diego II Ramos Colon and Doña Juana Díaz de Sandoval. Doña Mencia is a pillar in her own right. I've published a study on her, identifying her parents beyond doubt, her husband, her in-laws, her husband's grandparents, and her children. There's enough substance there for her own episode, and that's exactly what I'm planning. For now, remember her name, Doña Mencia Ramos, a second trunk growing from the same Ramos Colon marriage. So, from Diego II Ramos Colon, we watch 2 key branches run outward. One into Arecibo's military saga via Capitan Correa, and the other into the complex Cuamo-San Germán kin network via Doña Mencia. Both sit squarely inside the legitimate descendants we've been mapping. With Diego II's line placed, we move to his brother, the other documented son of Capitan Juan Colón de Luyendo and Doña Catalina de Espinosa, Antonio Colón de Luyendo. September 17, 1684, San Juan, Puerto Rico. The clerk records a second marriage that tightens our Colón de Luyendo line. Capitan Don Antonio Colón de Luyendo, legitimate son of Capitan Juan Colón de Luyendo and Doña Catalina de Espinosa, is marrying Juana de la Raza. This one sentence does 3 things for us. It fixes Antonio as legitimate son of Juan Colón de Luyendo and Catalina de Espinosa, the same parental pair we've been following through Cuamo and San Juan. It also shows Antonio bearing the military grade of captain, consistent with the family service profile. This May 15, 1688 Cartas de los Gobernadores proves this is his second marriage, opening the door we need for his earlier union. I will demonstrate that Antonio's first wife was Doña Catalina de Alvarado, and that they had, among other issues, a daughter named Doña Ana Colon. Ana's marriage is the key. She will link, in a single alliance, the Lasano Moika kin network with the Cologne de Luyendo branch we've been mapping, exacting the circle of families we've been intermarrying since Santo Domingo and the Canary ties. So now I ask you to remember all the names you've been hearing repeatedly: Silverio Mojica, Lasano Moika, de Avila Colon. Ana's match will draw those threads together on Puerto Rican soil and prove that these houses intentionally married into each other more than once, consolidating status, property, and kinship. Next, I'll lay out the documents that prove his first marriage to Catalina de Alvarado, and then we'll step into Doña Ana Colon's wedding, the moment where the Lascano, Mojica, Colon triangle finally locks. March 28, 1689, San Juan, Puerto Rico. It joins two lines we've been tracking from opposite shores of the Atlantic. The groom is Don Francisco Angel Lascano Mojica, stated as the legitimate son of Don Pedro Lascano Mojica and Doña Maria de Mojica, a Canary Island family descending from Bernardino Lascano and Jerónima Lercaro. The bride is Doña Ana Colon de Luyendo, explicitly called the legitimate daughter of Capitan Antonio Colon de Luyendo and Doña Catalina de Alvarado. The single word, legitimate, does all the crucial work. It confirms Antonio and Catalina were lawfully married, and it places Ana squarely inside the recognized Colon lineage. Now, watch what happens when we pull back to the family map. On one branch, the Lascano Lercaro sons of the Canaries, Juan Silverio Mojica and Angel Mojica. Their descendants, Silverios, Mojicas, and allied houses, migrate into Hispaniola and Puerto Rico. On the other branch, the Colon de Toledo line in Santo Domingo from Luis de Avila and Maria Colon de Toledo, great-granddaughter of the Admiral. Their descendants, Maria de Avila Colon, who also went by Maria Colon de Toledo, and Juan Colon el Viejo, then Capitan Juan Colon de Luyendo, and eventually to Antonio Colon de Luyendo, carry the Colon surname into San Juan and Guamo. This 1689 union, Francisco Angel Lascano Mojica with Ana Colon de Luyendo, is one of the places where those two Atlantic lineages deliberately knit together in Puerto Rico. And it was not a one-off. As we've already seen, and will see again, the Lascano Mojica descendants intermarry more than once with the Colon de Luyendo descendants, consolidating status, property, and kinship across generations. On screen is my Lascano Colon connection map. Red circles trace the descendants of Bernardino Lascano and Jerónima Lercaro of the Canary Islands. Watch as the red circles run through the Silverio Mojica cousins, Pedro Lascano Mojica, Juan Silverio Mojica, and their kin. Green circles trace the descendants of Luis de Avila and Maria Colon de Toledo, the Admiral's legitimate line in Santo Domingo. The green path comes down through Juan Colon el Viejo, then through his son Juan Colon de Luyendo, who marries Catalina de Espinosa, then to their child Antonio Colon de Luyendo, who marries Catalina de Alvarado. The yellow circles mark the people who descended from both houses. You see that fusion first when a red Mojica branch marries into a green de Avila Colon branch, producing mixed descent children, the yellow circles. It happens again in the next generation with Cristobal Mojica and Violante Ferrer, both marrying those intertwined lines. Where the yellow and red meet, you see the marriage we spoke of earlier of Juan Silverio Mojica and Violante Ferrer that received a third with a fourth degree of consanguinity, and exactly how they're related. Follow the dotted connectors and everything converges at the bottom. Francisco Angel Lascano Mojica, red, marries Ana Colon de Luyendo, green. That meeting point is not a coincidence. It's structure, repeated, intentional marriages between the Lasano Moika and the Davila Cologne descendants across generations. That convergence is the visual, documentary proof in the family web we've been building. Hold on to Anna's placement because the next step is lateral. We move from her marriage to the Colon Alvarado sibling, children of Antonio Colon de Luyendo and Catalina de Alvarado, to see how the same network keeps tightening across Puerto Rico. I step into the parish of Guamo, and we have 3 entries with 3 anchors. First, March 2nd, 1706, Juan Josef Rivera Colon, legitimate son of Leonardo Rivera and Doña Catalina de Alvarado y Colon. Notice Catalina's double surname. In the record, she appears as Alvarado y Colon, a direct echo of her parents, Capitan Antonio Colon de Luyendo and Doña Catalina de Alvarado. Next, November 7th, 1711, Juan Antonio Rivera, legitimate son of Leonardo de Rivera and Doña Catalina Colon. Catalina uses only Colon this time, and she and Leonardo named the baby Juan Antonio, pairing Leonardo's Juan with Catalina's father, Antonio. That naming choice is classic colonial practice and quietly reaffirms Catalina's identity as Antonio Colon de Luyendo's daughter. Then, September 17, 1713, Eufemia Rivera Alvarado, legitimate daughter of Leonardo Rivera and Doña Catalina de Alvarado. Here, Catalina swings back to Alvarado. The godparents matter. Among them appears Ignacio Colon de Luyendo. Godparents were typically close kin. His presence strongly suggests Ignacio is Catalina's brother, another child of Antonio Colon de Luyendo and Catalina de Alvarado. In 3 entries, we watch Catalina alternate Colon, Alvarado, but always within legitimate marriage, and we capture a probable sibling link through the padrino. These pages do 3 things at once. They prove legitimacy, they preserve the Colon surname inside the marriage even when Catalina signs as Alvarado, and they surface a brother, Ignacio Colon de Luyendo, right beside her. Hold that into frame. From Catalina, we move to another Colon Alvarado sibling, where the network tightens and the line of descent gets even clearer. I open a set of méritos, proof of service, of Sebastián González de Villafaña. 1 paragraph gives us a whole pedigree. It states that the maternal great-grandparents of Sebastián's wife were Teniente a Guerra Don Pedro Sánchez de Matos and Doña Maria Colon, a Matos-Colon alliance that anchors her line among the island's military and municipal elite. From them descends the wife's grandmother, Doña Juana Colon de Matos. And then the record adds the clincher. Doña Juana Colon de Matos is the sister of Archdeacon Don Juan Lorenzo de Matos. So in a single citation, we lock 3 generations: Sanchez de Matos, Maria Colon, Juana Colon de Matos, the sister of the Archdeacon, the bride's maternal branch. It's a clean bridge between the Colon and the Matos clerical power line. Hold that sibling link to Archdeacon Don Juan Lorenzo de Matos, because the next document takes us straight to the Archdeacon himself, where his standing and connection come into full view. I'm showing the record that pulls the thread of this whole investigation in tight. The February 4th, 1730 Méritos of Don Juan Lorenzo de Matos, Canon of San Juan's Cathedral. In it, he states plainly and under oath that he is a legitimate descendant of the family of the Admiral Christopher Columbus, discoverer of this new world, and also of Admiral Pedro de Alvarado, lieutenant of the great Hernan Cortez in the conquest of Mexico. Let's be clear what that means. Throughout this series, we proved, document by document, that when these records say legitimate descendants from the family of Christopher Columbus, they're referring to the legitimate line established by the Admiral through his son Diego, because Bartolome and Diego, the brothers, died without legitimate heirs, and Fernando died without children. The only legitimate descendants of the family of Christopher Columbus flow through his son Diego Colon, and the litigation, wills, and codicils we've covered lock that in. Detractors will argue Juan Lorenzo could have meant family in a loose way, maybe a collateral from a brother, but he didn't just say family. He called himself a legitimate descendant from the family. In 18th century Spanish law and church administration, that word is precise: legitimate, born in wedlock, descended by right. If he had been claiming a collateral, illegitimate, or rumor-based tie, these papers would have been challenged and denied. And look how we built this case. This isn't a stray boast in a letter. It's a formal merit dossier to secure ecclesiastical dignity, routed through the Cathedral Cabildo, accompanied by a sworn certification from the Secretary of the Cabildo with titles, prior appointments, and family proofs summarized and accepted juridictamente, as the certification itself states. In other words, evidence was presented, compared to archival records, and approved, then copied into the cathedral's register with signatures and seals. If he'd lied, the Cabildo would have refused to certify him. They didn't. They endorsed it. So, this single folio doesn't stand alone. It harmonizes with everything we've already shown: the wills, codicils, lawsuits, and family trees that keep sending us back to Diego Colon's legitimate branch. Juan Lorenzo is simply affirming, under church scrutiny, what the paperwork already proved. Before the surnames bounce around, Colon, de Avila, Mojica, Lescano, Hispanic families announce their kin ties with something even louder: the first name. In 16th to the 18th century Iberian and colonial practice, children were routinely named after a direct ancestor or a powerful padrino. When we line up the baptisms, wills, and meritos, and then lay our charts over them, the pattern is unmistakable. The same given names echo down the tree, generation after generation, right along the paths we've discovered on paper. That method is called Onomastic proof. Start with the most symbolic name in this story, Cristobal. At the top sits Christopher Columbus. From his legitimate line through Diego Colon and Maria de Toledo, the name resurfaces in next generations. Cristobal Colon de Toledo, Diego's son, Cristobal Colon in the Luis de Avila Maria Colon de Toledo branch, and in Santo Domingo, Cristobal de Mojica, baptized in 1618. The given name, Cristobal, tracks the same legitimate line from the admiral through Diego's household into the de Avila Colon's daughter and onto the Mojica grandson born in Hispaniola, then carried to Puerto Rico. That is onomastics lining up with documents. Next, the Juan Severio chain across the Canaries, Santo Domingo, and Puerto Rico. 1. Juan Severio Mojica in the red circles, conquistador of the Canary Islands, marries Catalina de la Guerra. Their son, Bernardino de Lascano, in the blue circles, has a son named after him and a son named after his father. 2. The Juan Severio Mojica, son of Bernardino II, active in Hispaniola, marries Maria de Avila Colon, also called Maria Colon de Toledo. Their son is Juan Severio Mojica, who is regidor, whose son Cristobal Mojica brings the line to San Juan. Parallel to this, from the Canarian cousins, we see the name Juan Severio Mojica repeating again and again, and eventually marrying into our Puerto Rican network. Reuse of the Juan Severio inside the Mojica Colon cluster is not random. It's a kin signal. Now, watch Diego Ramos as a hereditary badge. In the Luyendo Orozco Ramos block, Diego Ramos gives his combined name to later descendants. Diego Ramos, in the red circles, conquistador of Puerto Rico, married Lenora de Valera in the pink circles. Their daughter, Maria de Orozco, marries Francisco Juancho de Luyendo in the green circles. They have a daughter named Lenora de Valera, named after her grandmother, and a son, Juancho de Luyendo, named after his father. Juancho de Luyendo married Lenora Manuel, and they have a daughter Lenora de Valera, after her great-grandmother, Francisco Juancho de Luyendo, after his father, and Lenora Manuel de Luyendo in the orange circles, after her mother. The next generation, we have another Lenora Manuel de Luyendo and Diego I Ramos Colon, named after his second great-grandfather. Then, we have Diego II Ramos Colon, husband of Juana Diaz de Sandoval, and the next generation, Diego III Ramos Colon, husband of Maria de Los Angeles. The names aren't just homage, they're breadcrumbs. It ties the Cuamo officers to the earlier Ramos-Luyendo marriage network, and it's exactly what we'd expect in a lineage preserving status and memory through name. And finally, the twin anchors, Luis and Juan. Luis Daza, from the red circles, marries Juliana de la Torre, and has Juan Daza in the green circles, husband of Elvira Guillén de Avila. The next generation, we see Luis de Avila, named after his grandfather, husband of Maria Colon de Toledo. The name Luis passes to Luis de Avila Colon, and then echoes in Puerto Rico. That's a deliberate commemoration of a maternal de Avila line. Alongside Luis, the given name Juan marks the bridge. Luis de Avila names his son Luis after himself, and his other son Juan after his father. Juan Colon, el Viejo of Puerto Rico, names his son Juan Colon de Luyendo and the other son Diego Ramos Colon, who in turn names his son Luis after his own grandfather. Then Luis returns the favor and names his son Juan after his own grandfather. The Luis reoccurrence proves memory of the Avila Colon grandparents from Santo Domingo. The Juan reoccurrence tracks the Puerto Rican trunk carrying the Colon surname. And with that, our chain is complete. We follow the line from the Admiral's legitimate heirs in Hispaniola through marriages that stitch the Colons to Toledo, Luyendo, Mojica, and Lascano, and into Puerto Rico's parish books, until Juan Lorenzo de Matos steps forward and says, in effect, yes, this is who we are. From the earliest wills forward, the line of the Admiral narrows to one lawful channel, Diego Colon, his legitimate son. Bartolome and Diego, the Admiral's brothers, died without legitimate heirs. Fernando died without children. The family of Columbus, as defined by Columbus's own instruments, is his two brothers and his two sons. And the only branch that leaves legitimate descendants of the family of Columbus runs through Diego, his son. This case meets the genealogical proof standard: reasonably exhaustive research, sound analysis, conflicts resolved, and a written conclusion supported by sources. Across the Mona, the record shows what the printed official tree of Veragua lawsuit omitted. The De Avila Colon children had additional siblings, likely suppressed in a legal diagram focused on mayorazgo succession. Parish books, merits, and notarial acts restore them, and they consistently sign as De Avila Colon interchangeably. The Onomastics echo the paper trail. Juan Colon, named after his grandfather Juan Daza. Juan's son, Diego I Ramos Colon, names his son Luis, a living salute to his grandfather, Luis de Avila, who in turn was named after his grandfather, Luis Daza. The path then moves cleanly to Puerto Rico. Juan Colon el Viejo, in San Juan and Cuamo, marries Lenora I Manuel de Luyendo, planting the Colon surname on the island. Their descendant, Ana Colon de Luyendo, marry and beget lines interlaced with the Mojica and Lascano descendants. The evidentiary spine holds from end to end. Wills and codicils, naming legitimate heirs, cabildo rosters, and censuses proving presence, merits, and dispensations proving kin structure, and repeated, period, onomastic choices, then matched the pedigree. Most decisively, in 1730, Juan Lorenzo de Matos swears he is a legitimate descendant of the family of the Admiral Christopher Columbus, and this proof is accepted in ecclesiastical records, an institution of validation that harmonizes with the rest of the corpus. This is not just my reading. it aligns with the conclusions of the late great genealogist Dr. David Cuesta Camacho and the Puerto Rican Genealogical Society. The Cologne name in Puerto Rico descends from Christopher Columbus himself, carried here by Juan Colon, expanded by his sons, and interlaced with the Mojica and Lasano houses that descended from Columbus. Columbus had enemies in life, and he still remains a polarizing figure who still has haters, who still recoil at the idea that this bloodline took root here in Puerto Rico. But the facts don't care about your feelings. So when they ask, how did the descendants of Columbus reach Puerto Rico? The answer is now simple and sequential. Through his son, Diego Colon, through his legitimate issue, Cristobal Colon de Toledo, and Maria Colon de Toledo's fuller brood in Santo Domingo, through Juan Colon and his wife, Lenora I Manuel de Luyendo in Puerto Rico, through their children, Lenora II Manuel de Luyendo, Diego I Ramos Colon, and Juan Colon de Luyendo, and through Maria de Avila Colon and her husband, Juan Severio Mojica, deliberate Colon-Mojica-Lescano marriages that bound two shores into one lineage. There'll be no debate. I am Dyron Castro Torres, the genealogist, and this is just the beginning.